Blech. American Psycho. This is a movie I've watched many times over the years. I don't know why. I've never fully, truly understood American Psycho. I just never have. Like, I've read the book. The book is nasty. It is a nasty book written by, what's his face? He also did Less Than Zero and The Rules of Attraction. All three got turned into movies. Some of his later books also got turned into movies, but not nearly as noteworthy. His three films that are considered to be his three books that got turned into iconic films with their own cult followings: Less Than Zero, which came out right after the book was written, followed by American Psycho and The Rules of Attraction, one right after the other. In fact, Roger Avery directed The Rules of Attraction, and American Psycho is directed. What the hell is his name? Why am I blanking on the guy's name? The fucking guy, the author. I'm gonna feel like such an idiot when I pull up his name and here it is. Bret Easton Ellis. Of course, I knew it. It was on the tip of my tongue, and I just couldn't think of it. Bret Easton Ellis wrote this book, American Psycho. It's directed by Mary Harron. Mary Harron is from like the punk scene in the late 70s of New York City. And so it was very interesting. One of the very interesting sort of things about this movie is that it was directed by a woman. And I think that's kind of what they were kind of using that. Let's see what else. Yeah, she did I Shot Andy Warhol. Oh, I didn't realize she directed Dollyland. I have that in my queue. But she's most known for doing American Psycho. And it kind of really, the misogyny in American Psycho, both the book and the movie, it's almost like an attempt to inoculate the misogyny that's present in the story by like, we're going to tackle this misogyny in a sensationalized kind of way. And it, because we have a woman and a woman's sensibilities, which makes sense. If you're going to have someone direct American Psycho, it should be a woman, I think, to tackle it. And they're remaking it right now. The guy who remade Suspiria in 2018, which I was not too fond of, is remaking American Psycho. They tried to do an FX TV series that never amounted to anything. And they did make a sequel called American Psycho 2 that stars Mila Kunis as one of Patrick Bateman's victims. That came out in 2004. It was a direct-to-video sequel. You've seen the box with her holding the scythe on the cover. And she's one of his surviving victims and then goes on. So it was kind of linked to Patrick Bateman. Patrick Bateman is the brother of Sean Bateman in Bret Easton Ellis's books in Rules of Attraction. So the main character of the Rules of Attraction is actually the brother of Patrick Bateman. Patrick Bateman, 27-year-old wealthy New York investment banker, executive, who hides his alternative psychopathic ego from his coworkers and friends as he escalates deeper into his illogical, gratuitous fantasies. It's a great movie. It's a fantastic movie. It's a masterful movie, even though I don't understand it. I think the movie is a lot better than the book because the material was taken and shaped by Mary, who used her sensibilities as a woman from a woman's perspective to really sort of better like contextualize who and what Patrick Bateman is. And by the end of the movie, Patrick Bateman is like this sniveling, cowering, sad, scared, confused man that, you know, the core of any toxic male, you know, and the setting is 1987 New York, you know, the elite financial society of New York that, you know, runs the city and can act with impunity. And, you know, there's a lot of like, so I've had like a weird relationship with this movie. When I first watched it, I watched it because, it was like, you know, when I was young, it was like, look at this extreme fucked up movie. Look how fucked up it is. He's running down the hall with, I love it. What an image. Christian Bale naked, wearing white tennis shoes with a chainsaw, which is not in the book, by the way. And by far it's the best image. It's literally the best image that represents American Psycho. Like creating like the modern, using that image, Mary Harron kind of turned Patrick Bateman into a lower level sort of iconic, you know, cemented him in the pop culture of slashers in that kind of way, right? Patrick Bateman is a sort of a euphemism that people, what are you, Patrick Bateman? Like the same way that you would say Leatherface, which Patrick Bateman idolizes on the TV when, you know, one of the many videotapes that he has to return when he's, you know, he watches Korn and he watches he watches horror movies, right? Which makes sense. And so on this last watch, and then I got to tell you, I'm going to do a separate video because I found a Reddit theory that really, I think, really encapsulates what's happening in American Psycho, or at least I want to believe, because the bottom line is the movie, in the book, everything that Patrick does is supposed to be real, like 100%. And you watch his mind unravel, and everything that happens in the book really does happen. But in the movie, they kind of are doing almost like a Fight Club-esque. You're not sure what is real and what is not real. Like, you know, like the idea, not that it's not Fight Club-esque because Tyler Durden, that's a whole different thing. But the idea that he's imagining it all, which is such a cliche. It would be a cliche if he was imagining it all, right? And so I've always gone back and forth, and it's left the movie kind of like, the legacy of the movie for me in my life has always been kind of bittersweet, because I'm like, is it imagined? Is it real? What is real and what is not? Is some stuff real and is some stuff not? And on this last watching, I decided for myself as a viewer, before reading this Reddit theory, which I'm going to do in a separate video, as I mentioned, I decided that things are real up to a certain point, and then they become not real and imagined by Patrick Bateman. So a lot of the stuff that happens in Patrick Bateman's life is a delusion. Like the blood in the wine and the cranberry juice in the sheets is supposed to potentially be blood that he can't get out when he goes to the cleaners. But like, you know, what if it actually is cranberry juice? What if it is his imagination? It actually makes the story richer if he's imagining it, even if that ends up being a cliche, because it's such a, oh, it was a dream the whole time. Oh, he was imagining it the whole time. It's such a cop-out in so many instances. But here, because, and that really keys into a line that his lawyer says in the very last part of the book, where he says Patrick Bateman is such a spineless nothing that would never be capable to do any of these sort of things. And I always thought in my head, it was like, that's the real Patrick Bateman. And so this inner world, this toxic alpha male, that construct of Patrick Bateman, is just him taking things from his mundane life and just trying to, you know, elevate them in his delusions get more and more insane. So when he writes meat and bone in the crossword puzzle, that is Patrick Bateman writing meat and bone in the crossword puzzle. Then you see the blondes that he takes home. It says a smash cut. Before he's doing that crossword puzzle, he's got the lock of the blonde girl's hair that he takes home from the club, that he's walking home with from the club, where she says, like, you're a real kind, I could tell you're a really kind person. Like, is that real or is that not real? And I'm like, no, maybe that's not real, but where did he get the blonde hair from? And then it's like, does he kill Paul Allen? Does he actually kill Paul Allen? And I don't, in this watch, I'm going, no, that would be imagined. So whenever, like, the point is that when I'm watching this movie, I'm going, whenever the envelope gets pushed too far, that's when it becomes imaginary. So like, there are certain things, like him putting a nail gun up to Chloë Sevign's head, probably real. And here was a real epiphany. I never realized, like, the social status of the business card scene is like one of the best scenes in any movie. You could cut the tension with a knife. You feel the anxiety pouring off of Patrick as they're comparing the business cards. It's just such a brilliant scene. So is the scene where he finds out that Carruthers is gay and attracted to him. Also a great scene. But one of the things that's eluded me in this movie, that I've watched this movie many times over the years, like, you know, a handful of times over the years. Every once in a while, I just revisit it, hoping to glean something new that I haven't seen. It's just so well done. It's a great example of voiceover being used so masterfully, right? But one thing that I never noticed was the thing about reservations. I never understood until this viewing the social status of getting reservations. I understood the emptiness and the social standing of going to fine restaurants, but watching this movie this time made me realize how important it was for status to be able to get a reservation at Dorsia, and that Patrick Bateman couldn't get a reservation at Dorsia for the life of him. And that he even, you know, he goes to so much as lie about it. He lies about it to Jean when she's really impressed, or somebody else, and she's really impressed that they went to Dorsia for a meal with Paul Allen or whatever. He lies to somebody about that. So he's like, Jean, do you want to go out with me? and let's go out and get dinner. And he says, pick wherever you want. And she says, Dorsia, after much pushing from Patrick. Patrick pretends to make a reservation for Dorsia. And we hear over the phone from the maitre d', he says, we don't have anything for 9. And Patrick goes, good, great. And hangs up the phone. And she goes, wait, you didn't give a name. And he goes, oh, they know me. But the reality is because she picked Dorsia and because Patrick can't actually get a reservation at Dorsia, Patrick in his mind is like, I now have to kill Jean. I have to kill her. So let's meet for drinks at my apartment before we go to Dorsia for dinner. But the reality is they were never going to go to Dorsia, and that Jean would have to die because the idea, the embarrassment, the humiliation, the fear of it getting out, or of it being brought to like his attention that he can't go to Dorsia because he can't get a reservation for his life for Dorsia. They even laugh at him previously when he tries to do it over the phone. So that he needs to kill her in order to do it. And so then he starts interviewing her. He's like, do you feel fulfilled in your life? Like all these questions, because he realizes how messy it's going to be to kill his own secretary. And like, he's like, he likes Jean. He doesn't want to hurt Jean. And that he's fighting the urge within inside of him to do so because of that embarrassment, because of that fear of that secret getting out. I never noticed that before. And it blew me the fuck away. Like, I just never realized that because she chose Dorsia, he literally has to kill her because she chose Dorsia. Had she chosen any other restaurant, Crayons, that would have, been okay. Another reason, another example, when he does do the infamous chainsaw thing, right? Oh, so Christy, when he tortures the call girl and Christy the first time, 100% real. I think that really happened. All of that stuff happened. But then imagined is the chainsaw bit, being in Paul Allen's apartment with all the dead bodies and the chainsaw and this, that, and the other. And him chasing her down the hallway and dropping the chainsaw on her. I think that was all part of it, or in this viewing, I should say, at least until I read this Reddit theory, I thought that was completely imaginary. Like that had to have been imagined because it cuts to him coloring that scene on the counter, on the tabletop when he breaks up with Reese Witherspoon. So I was thinking, oh, that is the break. So it's like Mary Harron is finding these moments where she breaks the fantasy and we go back into reality, and it's so subtle. It's so well done where you really just don't know what is real and what's not. To sort of give you a preview of what this Reddit theory was about that I read after I watched the movie, because I was really trying to figure out what's real and what's not. And I've since changed my mind having read this theory. And the theory basically states everything is real. Everything is real. And because Patrick is a rich, white, man living in New York City, that he can act with such impunity. And because of the lack of personability, like the fact that everything's empty in their world, everybody gets confused by everybody else because everybody looks the same and everybody does the same things, that in that space, like Patrick has committed all of this stuff and he could just simply get away with it. And that he's trapped in hell because he can get away with it. And that ultimately everything is nothing. And that's why at the end of the book, too, in the end of the book, there's that sign, no exit, which is from a very famous play, French play, I think, called No Exit, which is about the idea of hell just being trapped with other people, and there's like nothing is inherently wrong except that you're with people and you just like for all eternity, whatever. And I really want to explore that theory further. I'm not doing it justice right now, and I'm not going to do it justice at the end of this video. We have one more movie to cover, but I want to talk about it because it really blew my mind. I feel like this person really broke down the movie and really got to the meat of it, the core of what is happening in American Psycho. So we will tackle that another day. All right.